domestic violence and abuse. But today, what I'm going to share with you is a couple of scenarios, and these are real scenarios because I always have people asking me questions in regards to why a person won't leave an abusive situation and what does abuse look like? How can you tell if someone is being abused? So today, this is going to be two scenarios, two for women and two for men, because again, we don't know what abuse look like and we don't know what survivors of abuse look like. But I can tell you how grateful I am right now because I am a survivor of abuse. A lot of people say you don't look like what you've been through, and you're not supposed to look like what you've been through. Because if you ask God to give you a clean heart and a clean spirit, He's going to make you into a new person. So, of course, you are not supposed to look like what you've been through. So, today, again, I want to share a couple of scenarios to let people know that you don't know what abuse looked like and you don't know what a survivor looks like. Victims of abuse. Sometimes you can look at a person, and if there's physical marks, you will assume that the person is being physically abused, but not always. That's not always the case. So today, this first scenario is for men because sometimes men, they have a tendency of getting offended when they see a beautiful woman and they speak to her. My experience, from my personal experience, the guy got offended because he had wrong intentions. So guys, if you see a beautiful woman and she doesn't speak back and you get offended or you feel rejected, ask yourself, what were your intentions? Because if you were speaking just to speak, then you should not have taken that situation personally. Now, this first scenario is interesting because I can relate to it, but this is someone else's story. I share these because I've been given permission to share, and each one is a real scenario. The first one says a man approaches a beautiful woman and asks her how she's doing, and she doesn't speak back. His response, "You ain't all that anyway." But what he didn't see was that she already felt that way about herself simply because her husband was physically and emotionally abusing her, and he threatened to kill her if she told anybody about their situation or if she tried to leave. So, again, my question, what does a victim look like? Some men, again, approach a woman and speak, and if she doesn't speak back, he gets offended. Men, it is not up to you to get offended. Again, if you have wrong intentions, then you're going to get offended. So if you're just speaking just to speak, even if she doesn't speak back. It is not up to you to try to figure out what's going on with her. She's already afraid. She's already feeling bad about herself because of her home situation. And in that scenario, when I shared it, someone asked, well, why didn't she just leave? Again, her husband threatened to kill her if she tried to leave. So the answer to that question that everybody seemed to ask, why didn't the person just leave? It's not always easy. And then if we haven't paid attention, again, I always share these numbers, the murder-suicide rates. When the person decides to just get up and leave, what happens? Most of the time, there's murder suicide, where the victim or the perpetrator kills the victim and then turns around and kill themselves. So, again, what does a victim of abuse look like? So, men, don't get offended if you speak to a woman and she doesn't speak back. Now, the second scenario, again, is for men. A man approaches a beautiful woman. He asks her how she's doing. She begins to tell him how her ex-husband used to beat her every day, physically and emotionally abuse her. But now her ex-husband is serving time in prison, and now she's an advocate for women and men. So when she asked the young man how's he doing, he said his response was, "Never mind, I'm good." Then he turns around and walk away. Now, what does a survivor of abuse look like? Again, nobody knows. You can assume if you see marks, but nobody knows what a survivor of abuse looks like. Now, the question was, did those men have other intentions other than speaking? Seeing how each one responded, yes, they had wrong intentions. They had wrong intentions. And because a woman doesn't speak, doesn't mean something is wrong with her. And it doesn't mean that she's obligated to speak back. So men, if she speaks, she speaks. If she doesn't, don't get offended. Now, this second scenario, this is for women, because again, some people don't believe that men suffer from abuse. Again, these scenarios I have been given permission to share, and that's why I'm sharing it today. Now, this first scenario, the man, he's working hard to provide for his family, but he has a heavy drinking problem. He drinks heavily. He's not abusive to his family. He tries to do everything he can to make sure his family is well taken care of. But his spouse notices sometimes when he drinks, he gets emotional. She always asks, "Honey, are you okay?" He'll respond and say, "Yes, I'm fine." But the man never shared with his wife that he was molested by his dad. Never shared with her. And when he finally told her, he thought she was going to leave him because she thought something was wrong with him. But she stayed with him and she helped him get the support that he needed. And now he is a survivor of abuse. He forgave his father. And the interesting part about that is that he didn't have a chance to forgive his father face to face. What he had to do was forgive his dad in his heart, because that's where he needed that pain to be released, in his heart. So that's the other part, forgiving. A lot of people say they can't forgive or they won't forget. I can't forgive the person, or how can I forgive someone if they're no longer here? The answer to that question, forgive that person in your heart, because that is where the pain is, and that's where healing begins, in the heart. So his wife stayed with him, and she got him all the support he needed, and she was there with him and for him. And now their marriage is even greater. So again, what does a victim look like when it comes to men? This is another scenario for men. A beautiful woman finds herself attracted to a coworker. She asks him out for lunch and he declines with a simple thanks, but no thanks. This man is already aware of this woman's behavior of manipulating men to get what she wants. This young man just got a divorce because his wife was emotionally and financially abusing her husband while cheating on him. So, again, when I talk about abuse, abuse is not just physical, it's not just mental or emotional, it's verbal, and it's also financial and spiritual. So, yes, this young man, his wife was financially abusing him by taking their money and providing for someone else. So, this young man files for a divorce and he got custody of their child. And what he decided to do, he said he was just going to surrender. He surrendered to God because he didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. So he surrendered and he became very active in his church and in the community so that he can find ways to help people or find ways to make a difference in other people's lives. So again, these scenarios, this young man is a survivor of abuse. And because this young lady, she tried to manipulate him to get what she wanted when he was already aware of her behavior. And she got offended because he declined. He turned down her proposition. She wanted to go out for lunch and he just said thanks but no thanks. He wasn't mean. He didn't show any type of disregard, even though, sometimes men and women, when they find themselves in those situations, they become angry and resilient and they go out and do the complete opposite. But in each one of these scenarios, these individuals turned around and did what was right. They didn't go out and hurt no one else. They didn't go out and continue to hurt themselves. Each one of them did what was right. So again, these scenarios, they are real. They are real. Women, you cannot take it upon yourself to use what you have to try to get what you want out of a man. Is not right, because God created you to be the helpmeet. And if you take it upon yourself to go out and manipulate, believe me, karma, I don't like karma. I don't think nobody like karma. But if you find yourself in situations, bad situations, and wondering what happened, just sit down, think about what you've done to someone else, why these things are happening to you. And it goes the same for some men. Now, lately, I've been reading and listening a lot of videos and other information in regards to narcissists. And these are individuals who use different ways to manipulate others. And again, that is a form of abuse, because most people, if you have a humble spirit, and this is true for some individuals, sometimes you can have a humble spirit and another individual will look at it as you being a weak person. That's not the case. That is not the case. You have a humble spirit and you're only doing what's right. So the narcissist will look at it as you having a weak spirit, or they can take advantage of you in whatever way they choose to. So the narcissist, this term is fairly new to me, but I see it as a different term other than reverse psychology, because before this term narcissist came about, they we used to hear the word reverse psychology, where a person or individual, you would say something or do something positive and they'll turn it around and make you think that it was something wrong. This is an example of a narcissist. A narcissist, you can tell a narcissist something that you are doing. I can share a personal. Just to give an example. I can share a personal situation where I didn't know this until after I learned what this particular term meant. In this case, in this situation, I was going to school. I was taking online classes, and I'm on the computer in my online class, and this individual wanted me to sign out of my class because he felt like I wasn't going to learn what I needed to learn anyway. He felt like I was wasting my time and wasting my money by taking online classes. He would then turn around and try to say, how do I know the information that I'm learning is real? How do I know the teachers are real, the instructors? How do I know if the university wasn't a fake university? So he tried to use all of that against me to make me think that because I was going to school online, that I wasn't going to learn anything. Before I realized what he was trying to do, that particular day, I did sign out of my classes, and we were sitting and talking. And he said something that made me realize that he did not believe in anything that I was doing. His words were, it doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter how often you go to school. You're still going to be the same person that you were when I met you. That alone let me know that this person did not believe in anything, not even in himself. So it did not take me long. It didn't take me long to realize what he was doing. That was the reverse psychology. Again, they used the term narcissist, and now it's a new term, gaslighting. So if you ever hear those terms or those words, it's basically the same meaning. Most of it has the same meaning. Reverse psychology, narcissist, gaslighting, whatever they want to call it. You know, you have to pay attention. If you are a humble person, don't ever change who you are. Don't ever change what you believe in. If you are surrounded by people who don't want to see you grow or get better or do better, find yourself a new set of friends. Decrease your circle, because the last thing you want is to be surrounded by people who just bring nothing but negative energy to your environment. All of this are signs of abuse, and it can come from family members also. Because again, my personal situations, I used to spend a lot of time with my family, but before I resigned from my last position, I was able to spend a lot of time with my family. And because I work from home now, my family doesn't understand why I can't spend as much time with them as I used to. For them, me working from home means I can stop doing whatever I'm doing and just go and do whatever it is they need me to do. But I have to explain to them, me working from home means I am working. It's a job. I am my own boss. I can't just stop what I'm doing and go and do what they need me to do. So again, that's a form of narcissistic behavior, because they won't think they weren't thinking about what I needed to do for myself. It was all about them and what they needed. And what made me realize that they didn't care about my personal well-being or what I was doing for myself is when I told them no, I wasn't able to do these things, they got upset. So anytime you say no to a person, whether it's family members, friends, or whatever, and they show any signs that they don't care, you still have to do what you need to do for yourself. Your personal well-being comes first, because if you are not well enough to go and help others, you're not going to be your best. So it's up to you to make sure you look out for yourself first and know that it's not being selfish. Your personal well-being comes first. And if you have someone in your family or your friends or whatever, they don't understand that, then don't take it personal. Don't take it personal, because if anything happens to you, the first thing they may say is, well, she wasn't getting no rest, because I had that happen. I used to work crazy hours, unrealistic hours, 2 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I would go home, take a nap, go to school. My days were long. But then when it was time for me to get rest, I wouldn't get rest because I was too busy trying to go out there to make sure I helped everybody, or whenever somebody called, I always made myself available. But my brother, when he said these words to me, I had to always remember those words. He said to me, stop making yourself available. And when he said that to me, I had to think about it, because every time I made myself available, I would do nothing but tire myself out. And a lot of times when we don't realize how tired we are until we lay down and go to sleep. I've had it happen many times where my body shut down on me. So you have to look out for yourself, look out for your well-being, and let everybody know. You have to, because you're not going to abuse your health. You're not going to abuse yourself by getting up and running to everybody's rescue. So again, all of this has something to do with mental, emotional, psychological, physical abuse, verbal abuse. All of it falls under the same umbrella. The emotional and psychological abuse can come from, again, the narcissistic behavior, the manipulation. Those are forms of abuse, because if, again, you tell someone no, that you can't do something for them, they'll get upset. That's a form of emotional and psychological abuse, because they'll make you think or feel like you should do something for them when you know you can't. So again, for those who are listening, the scenarios I shared in the beginning, pay attention to people, even though the signs may not be there. Pay attention. Listen to what's not being said. And the only way you can do that is to take yourself out of the equation. When you're in conversation with someone, take yourself out of the equation. Take yourself out of the conversation, unless the person asks for your opinion or looking for an answer. They ask you. But if they don't ask, take yourself out of the conversation and just listen. Just listen. And that way you'll become aware of something that they may be trying to tell you, but they're not expressing it. They're not verbally expressing it. They may show signs, something that you can listen for. They always say listen to what's not being said. Pay attention to body language. because body language, you can learn a lot just by looking at the body language. Again, I share these scenarios today because we need to know that a lot of people out there are still being abused. They are still under in situations where now we know they can't walk away. They can't they there's nowhere for the women to go to because most of the shelters are closing. I haven't seen more shelters for men when it comes to men leaving abusive situations. So again, let's pay attention to one another. If you see something going on, ask questions. Men, if you see a woman and you speak to her, just don't get offended. Don't have wrong intentions. Don't have wrong intentions because then you take it out on her and you make her situation worse because she's already feeling bad about herself. Women, don't use your physical appearance to manipulate anybody. I see it a lot. They say men are the weakest link. I don't believe that. But women, don't use your physical appearance to manipulate anybody because what you are doing to one person, someone is going to do something, it's going to come back on you. So, whatever you do, don't do anything that you wouldn't want somebody to do to you. They always say, treat others as you want to be treated. So, again, if you don't want to be abused, don't be an abuser. And if you are an abuser, seek help. And if you are a survivor, find ways to use your voice to go out and encourage others to become survivors. Share your story. Share your story so that other people can know that they are not the only ones who are going through anything. Listen to what's not being said so that you can help others become survivors of abuse. Let's stay prayed up. I pray for you, you pray for me, and we pray one for another. Again, this is Lanatha of Encouraging Voices. Thank you for tuning in to KAZradio.tv. God bless you. Go out and be a blessing and be blessed.